I'm a part of 30 different organizations, about 30 different things. So when I wanted to learn how to become my own publicist, I joined the Public Relations Society of America. Now I'm my own publicist because I get to go to their convention, meet all the people, and learn from people who've been doing it for 30 years. What key would you have it in? All these questions that you have in your head when you're trying to figure something out, those are the nuggets that are going to help you achieve something great. So when I write something with AI, I don't say, here, give me an article about this. I don't do that. I break that thing down to pieces. There's an outline. It's strategic. It's the same way you would have to do it from scratch. But now you can get more ideas. Now you can come up with different things you never saw. Not only do the record company get paid, but tag team gets paid without the record company.
You're turning a negative into a positive.
Turning a negative into a positive. There is pain in that, but my skin is very thick. I look at how it can help me because when you get to this point in your career, you need relevance. You need every year to have Whoomp, there it is, come out in a commercial or come out on The Simpsons or come out in a movie. How do you turn that into something else? And that's where SEO comes in. This podcast is about this. I will put this podcast on this page about entrepreneurship, optimize it for that. Then it might show up on the carousel. And then everybody who's looking about how to be an entrepreneur comes to your podcast, sees you with me on it. And now you might get a whole bunch of followers because you had me on a podcast talking about entrepreneurship. Well, I'm touring. So that means I had to fly back to take a COVID test in Atlanta, fly back to where I'm going, come back. That's too much. So I had to let that go.
Hey, if you're like me and you're interested in the YouTube or creator space, you should check out The Published Press. The Published Press is a completely free newsletter founded by YouTubers Colin and Samir. They host their own podcast talking to some of YouTube's largest creators. They've edited some of the best content I've seen on YouTube, and now they're sharing their knowledge about the YouTube space with you for free. The Published Press comes out 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with everything going on with their favorite creators and platforms. And like I said, it's completely free. Just enter your email address to receive the Published Press whenever it comes out, and that's it. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, sign up to the Published Press, and get all the info you need on the industry. My guest today has been inducted to the Disney Hall of Fame, performed at countless halftime shows for almost any major sports league you can think of, reached #2 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts, and is part of Tag Team, one of the most popular rap duos of the 90s, especially with their song, Whoomp, There It Is. Please welcome DC Glenn to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Good. You're going to start out with Disney? Come on, man.
Gotta get a Hall of Fame of some kind in there.
I know. I'll take it. Oh, man. It's going to be fun.
Definitely. But like, it's so hard to find like a starting point for to like talk about something for your career because there's just so much that you've done, like the halftime shows, TV placements, everything. But
let's do it like this. What interests you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, so going back, like what as a kid sort of awakened a like passion for music in you? Like what drew you to music as like something you were interested in?
Like pretty much every kid, they were forced to take piano lessons. They're either forced to play an instrument against their will. And, you know, you start getting an inkling that you like music, right? But I didn't want to play an instrument, didn't want to do all that. But when I first went to my first high school party, not first high school party, but this is at a new high school, Manual High School, 84. I'm in 11th grade. And I go to my first dance in the gym and I see, you know, a DJ with 2 turntables, a mixer, and he's cutting and scratching. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be that. I can do that. And I was relentless in my pursuit of being a DJ. But I also was relentless in being my suit because I saw Steve's band play in high school. And I was like, I got to be in that band. And I ended up being in that band. And I also, in high school, saw the choir sing. And I was like, ooh, I want to do that. Ended up being in the choir. And I became masterful at all 3. And that's what got everything really solidified. And that was my life, DJing, singing and rapping, and just learning the business of music. And here I stand today I think it's probably almost 40 years later, still relevant, still touring, still
Yeah.
trying to squeeze every ounce of juice out of Whoomp. There it is, I can.
Yeah. And I mean, it seems like so you once you have found a passion for it, you just started like trying everything, like singing, instruments teaching, and just like stick to one
Hmm.
part of it, which is awesome. I'm sure that helped a lot in your career. And you were mentioning like Steve and wanting to be in his band. What like instrument did you play, or what role did you fill in the
I was
band?
a lead singer.
Lead singer. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. But I was more of a leader because, I wanted that band to be successful. So I was one, finding places for us to practice, buying drumsticks, guitar strings, you know what I'm saying? Supporting the
Yeah.
band, financially here and there, trying to make everybody, because it's hard to make a bunch of kids try to show up on time to band practice, right? So,
Yeah.
and then trying to get us shows, get us places to perform, right? And I still serve all those purposes to this day. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that deals with the talent agents and the buyers and the Live Nations and the pyramid talent booking agencies, and then I do SEO, so I'm masterful at building websites and getting on the first page of Google so I can kind of stay relevant through this thing they call the internet, because I've learned how to, work it inside out and reverse engineer it to where it works for me, custom to me. I don't have to follow people and do social media and do all those things. I can come up with different ways because I know about Google's algorithm and how it works, right? So I can fashion that and wield that to my advantage. And I'm not trying to get a whole bunch of stuff off of it, but you can get little sprinkles here and sprinkles there, and that is more than enough to sustain you.
Yeah, and you mentioned like learning music business early on, and it seems like even now you're still interested in like sort of heading up any like business talks or things like that. How important is it for you to like you be the one doing these discussions rather than like a manager or an agent or anything like that?
Because it puts you in a bad mindset, right? If, you know, you can build a team, right? But if you don't know what that team is doing and you don't know how to do it yourself, then you could be taken advantage of, especially in the music industry. And then sometimes you're forced to be all those things because you don't want to give up 25% or want to give up, for somebody that isn't proven, right? So basically, how that happens is, well, how it happened for me is that any trauma that happens in my life, or I get blindsided, or anything negative happens, I vow that it'll never happen again. I educate myself accordingly to make sure that it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? That's my choice. Everybody has a choice, right? So even today, a lot of my colleagues that are artists still don't understand what they need to do to get where they need to be. Not saying that that is wrong, right, or indifferent, but they're leaving a lot of money on the table, not knowing how their business run or not being tight on their business. But everybody does their thing differently. People will probably look at me and say, "Well, you're doing your thing a little bit different. I've never seen it done like that before, so it probably is wrong." But I'm like, it's not whether about is wrong or right. It's about the hustle you put in. It's about the work you put in, right? It's about how you learn all this stuff to be successful. And I'm not just tag team. You know what I'm saying? I'm a voice artist. I'm an actor. I got an SEO consultant agency. I'm my own publicist. I'm my own everything. But I had to learn how to learn, right? And what does that mean? Well, learning how to learn is, well, if I'm going to get shows, if I'm going to be on tours, if I want to do concerts, why am I talking to the promoters, and why am I talking to the agents, and why am I talking to the middlemen, right? And I said, well, let me go to the horse's mouth. Well, how do you do that? Well, you join an organization that their whole organization is about concerts and concert support, and how the tools that you need to put on concerts. Well, that's the buyer. So why would I not want to go talk to the buyers and let them know, hey, we're doing shows. So if you deal, because there is a hierarchy, I understand that. But if I can find out what the hierarchy is, then I'm going to the head,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna
you're finding
present
a way to
myself to, yeah, I'm
sort
gonna
of
present myself
bypass.
to the leaders. I'm gonna present myself to the leaders of the industry. And when you're in an organization, like I'm in the International Entertainment Buyers Association. Well, each one of these organizations has a board. Well, what's that board consist of? The board consists of everybody that's major in the industry. So you probably got the president or vice president of Live Nation in there. You got Universal Attractions, somebody from there, somebody from CAA, somebody from all these big time places, somebody for who does all the touring. Somebody might be in charge of all the trucks. Somebody, they're all on the board. So if I get in there and then I become friends with the CEO, then the CEO introduces me to all the people I need to talk to. And then the rest is up to me. The rest is up to my hustle. And now I've built these relationships where I can go talk to people or show up at a mixer or show up somewhere within the confines of the organization, because organizations, societies, or associations are places where people are masterful at their profession. And they have been doing it for 10, 20, 30 years. And if you join that organization, they can't wait to help you. That's the beauty. I'm a part of 30 different organizations about 30 different things. So when I wanted to learn how to become my own publicist, I joined the Public Relations Society of America. Now I'm my own publicist because I get to go to their convention, meet all the people, and learn from people who've been doing it for 30 years. See what I'm saying? Just like I'm a member of NSA, National Speakers Association, because me doing podcasts end up turning into a motivational speaking career. So now, but that wouldn't have happened if I didn't join NSA, because they've got thousands of speakers all over the world, and that's how I leverage who I am.
Yeah.
Because when I get in, I just start talking to people, and nobody knows I'm DC the Brain Supreme from Tag Team till I tell them. So now it's just icing on the cake when I tell them. You see what I'm saying? So that's how you parlay leverage with who you are. And also SEO. All these things combined together into my big ball of focus. That's what I call it. And I have to say no to like 70% of the things that I do. I can't do that. Can't do that because it doesn't fit into this. But when it does fit into this, that's another layer of expertise and mastery that helps me do what I do. You see what I'm saying? So that's like the best advice I give people. Join an organization because they're going to have the financial resources. They're going to have all the different, they're going to, you're going to get emails for everybody in the industry. And I try to get, when I go to these conventions, I'm the only one there. And I can't believe my fellow artists aren't in there hustling,
Yeah.
right? It's amazing to me because all the resources are there. All the people are there. Think about concerts. It's just not, and this is what I learned. It's just not us doing concerts at in an arena or doing halftime shows, but it's about the parades. It's about, Hard Rock cafes got thousands, you got hundreds of Hard Rock cafes all over the world.
Yeah.
Planet Hollywoods. Talking about the chains who need entertainment. BB King, houses. All these places need entertainment. Casinos, cruise ships, right? State fairs, city municipalities, right? All those things need entertainment. So if I put myself in front of the people who can pay me, I'm planting seeds, and I don't expect anything from any of them. I just plant the seeds and keep it moving. And then we get 20, 30 shows a year, and that sustains me. So I can do all the other stuff that I want to do.
Are you a music artist trying to find a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible? Then check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a super user-friendly and super easy-to-use service that will make your music available in stores like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. Everything you could imagine, it's available. People will even be able to add your songs into their Instagram stories. DistroKid helps you with the distribution, monetization, and promotion of all of your music. Use the link in the description of this video for 7% off any DistroKid package you want. Pick from musician packages designed to help artists get their own music out there, or even get a label package where you can manage up to 100 artists from one profile. So that's more for like managers, labels, and you can also get the musician package that I mentioned earlier, which is more for artists, producers, things like that. And super easy, and you can get 7% off any package right now with the link in the description of this video. So once again, if you're looking for a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible, I'm talking any platform you can think of, get DistroKid and get 7% off right now with the link in the description. Back to the program. I'm so glad that this podcast fit into your ball of focus, because I mean, already I'm learning a lot, like getting a bunch of helpful information. And it seems like with anything you do, speaking, being a publicist, you sort of obsess over it, or like want to become as good as you can right away at it. And that's why you go to these organizations. Where does that sort of drive come from to like get better or get to be the best at anything you do?
Well, they call me DC the Brain Supreme for a reason, right? And I just have the uncanny ability to figure things out, right? But this has been developed over years. I look at things backwards, right? I look at things differently. You know, if here's my formula. I look at the most pie in the sky, far-fetched, irrational solution, because the solution is where you're trying to get to, right? And if you tell people this, because sometimes the people you love most of those are the people that are gonna hate on you the most too. And you tell people these things, and they're like, "You can't do that, DC." But you have to be cognizant enough to say, "You're right. I can't do that now." So if I want to be here, well, maybe if I pull myself back an inch, can I do it now? No, I still can't do it. Well, let me pull myself back. What are you doing to get to this goal? Well, you are doing this, that, and that. Okay, come back a little bit more. Okay, well, you're doing this and you're doing that. So that makes sense. Okay, you come back a little more. And what you're doing is you're working your way back to practicality, right? Because practicality is where you are now. And then what you've just done is created a step ladder to your goals and dreams, because you've taken it from where you want to be and broken it down into little bitty bite-sized chunks. And now it's time to see what you're made of. Are you willing to put into work to climb that step ladder? And that's how I do it. It's like if I see something I want to do, that's where learning how to learn comes in. So that why would I try to go find a bunch of courses or pay somebody to do this, do that, when I can go join an organization, ask 1,000 people who do exactly what I want to do. Can I get some help? How would you do this? How would you do this? How would you do that? And then you piece it all together. And now you're like that 2-3 months, you're in the game
Yeah,
because you
awesome.
bridge that gap. You see what I'm saying? You bridge that gap to time, right? And because I can go anywhere and I can take over a room, because that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years, but in a different context, it's all the same. I'm a DJ. So back in the day, if you couldn't keep the dance floor packed, you weren't a good DJ. And I was the best at club DJing, at keeping the dance floor packed, at making the bar money, all those things that you need to make a club successful. That was me. So I just apply those same principles to everything I do now. But you have to figure those things out. And that's what I tell people. Everybody wants to be, they're looking at somebody else. Why don't have what they got? You are enough. You just don't know it, right? You have to figure out what you know, how you can, you know, parlay that into something that can help you be successful. For me, is joining all these organizations. I'm in organizations for writing, grant writing, editorial freelance writing, because I suck at writing. You see what I'm saying? So I got to figure out how to become a better writer, because I'm not going to pay a writer $300 per article or $200 per article, right? And then they don't write it the way I want it written, right? That's the frustration, because either there are cultural differences, there are, grammatical differences, or just the way you flow. You know what I'm saying? You're talking too smart. You need to talk to more, where people can read it, where a mom is reading. I need to talk on an 8th grade level. But that's where technology comes in. And if I don't stay up on technology, then life passes me by, and then I'm old and stale doing things that don't work. So that's the beauty of AI, right? Because now I can learn even faster what I need to learn. And I can do things that I would have never thought of doing. And I can get ideas that I never would have thought of. I can
Yeah,
say, give me 20 ideas about this. And it come back with 20 ideas, but 16 of them suck, or I already know about, but 4 of them, hey, I didn't think about it that
you can
way.
make something out of them. Yeah,
Make something out of it, right? And then you grow from there. Then you can expand on that. And each one of those ideas, you can get 20 ideas from, and so on and so on and so on. Pick the pieces that you can do right now and then start doing it.
yeah.
Like having that, to me, like I argue with people about this all the time because they're talking about, well, AI doesn't do this, and I tried it and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I just look at it as a tool, and I look at it as the ultimate library. And in a library, what do? You go and you do research and you go find books. So you still got to get your butt up and go down the aisles and try to find the book that you want in the library. But having a library of the whole world, and all you got to do is type it in. You don't have to walk. You don't have to do. All you got to do is type it in. What can I do to do this? Because it's everything from the analog world brought into the digital world. But you see how I think. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? You're sitting,
yeah.
I'm listening, I'm looking at you, look at me, think this, and you're like, damn, I never thought of it that way. I never thought
Well,
of it
because
that.
it's very interesting that like when AI kind of like over the summer and towards like probably September, October or so got really big,
Mm-hmm.
everyone was sort of freaking out that it's like, okay, we didn't have AI and now it's just going to replace everything. There's no more music artists because it's just going to make music. And I was watching a interview with Adam from the band HAR. I don't know if you know them, but he was saying that he's interested in the reality of using AI, like you said, as a tool rather than a replacement. So, like, rather than saying, write me a song about this, copy and pasting and having that be your song, use it almost as like another writer in the room and be like, how can I improve this line and put in like a line and like bounce ideas back
If
and
you were to
forth
write a
with it.
song, what key would you have it in? Right? All these questions
Yeah,
that you have in your head when you're trying to figure something out, those are the nuggets that are going to help you achieve something great. Right?
yeah,
So when I write something with AI, I don't say, here, give me an article about this. I don't do that. I break that thing down to pieces. There's an outline. There's it's strategic, right? It's the same way you would have to do it from scratch, right? But now you can get more ideas. Now you can come up with different things you never saw. And then you piece it all together. Now you got an outline. Well, was that outline topically relevant? Okay, well, let's make it topically relevant to where every part of this article, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Because that's what keeps people engaged. Because the same rules of copywriting, with all cats wrote those books back in the day, they still apply today. All the
yeah,
old school stuff still applies, but it's about taking all that history and then turning it something into something new, because history does repeat itself, right? And people don't get that. So it's like, I know that if I take my time and I break it down and I piece it back together, I know I'm going to come with something that has value. But then if it has value, then I can use it and I can leverage it and I can put it into something that will get me more, right? So you can, there's the sky is the limit, because no matter what, this is the greatest AI ever right here. Always
yeah,
will, and always has been, and always will. Everything else is just tools. So it's like we just got fire, right? And we're the caveman of the 2000s, right? And we just got fire. Never seen fire before. Now, some people gonna be like, "Wow, I don't gotta eat raw meat no more." But some people gonna be like, "Man, that stuff burns me." People gonna freak out. I'm like, "Damn, if I can cook meat with it, maybe I can, maybe let me boil some water on it to give me some cleaner water." Like, think about
yeah,
the upside, right? But then Another the reason I am the way I am is because over the years, when life throws you trauma or tragedy, you can't be mad about that because life is baked in the cake. That's life, right? It's how you respond. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I always try to find the positive in the negative because that's where the gold lies, right? It's like to me, I have a couple analogies, but this one is the one for younger folks. I thrive in the upside down, right? So I can go to upside down and I could take stock of everything and then I know how to survive in the upside down, like Mike did. If you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's how and when I tell that to people, they're like, oh, so instead of being, afraid of the upside down, you go in and you conquer it and you learn
And
how
you
to
learn.
do and survive and tactics and not to do and watch, the Demogorgon do some things, be like, okay, he does it like that when he sees that. Okay, wait a minute, hold on. Then I'll do this and I'll do that. And then now I can run circles around it, right? And I'm there thriving. That's how you have to look at things. So it's easier said than done, right? Somebody says something negative about you. The first thing is about, man, they don't know what they're talking about. But I'm like, what if they were right? What would I do about it? And that's where the magic is. Because if I can get out of my pride and I can get out of my ego, now the world is truly open to everything possible. And sky's the limit, right? So I have to keep that mindset, even though life is throwing all kind of stuff at me, relationships, all the things that we go through, despair, envy, loathing, hate, all those negative connotations. I take those and I just sequester them, and I don't react to them. And you'll find that no more than a minute or two later, it leaves you. Now you're not dealing with that stress of hate and anger and all that stuff. And then now you're like, wait a minute. I could take that negative energy and turn it into positive energy, but just put it in your pocket and use it for later, right? So when somebody tells you you can't do something, you can go back to your Rolodex of all these emotions and you can pull that out and use that for positive energy. Now, some people might say I sound crazy for doing that, but it has kept me sane when I see how people go crazy. I see how people get stressed out. I see how people can lose it all, right? So you have to be able to control your mind to be able to withstand what life throws at you because it's going to happen anyway. You can't stop it. And that's the beauty of life, to navigate all this and to come out and to make your life worth something that will live forever. And everybody was like, what do you want? I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be in history books. I wanted to live forever. And now through Whoomp, there it is, and through the Geico commercials and through everything I do, I'm working on a TED talk right now for all these things that I'm talking to you about, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will live forever. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And nobody's thinking like that. I'm thinking like that. I want my legacy to be that people learn from me 100 years from now or 200 years from now, right? Think about all the people we learn about in history. There's not that many. Might be a handful. You know the names: Shakespeare, Beethoven, Bach. You might not even ever heard their music, but you hear those names. You see what I'm saying? Because they are remembered. King Henry VIII. That's one of the only old school kings because you just know it.
Yeah. It's just something that's
It's
so
just something
common
that
that
you
so
know.
many people
That's
learn.
all these figures are from what Shakespeare talked about and it did in his plays, but they have kept going because people keep doing his plays in one form or another, turn it into musicals, turn it into movies, turn it into Broadway plays. So society will always know about Shakespeare. Not saying that I'm going to be Shakespeare, but you see what I'm saying. You see what
Yeah.
that's when people look at the music charts, or when people want to party and dance and want something back in the olden days, Whoop, there it is going to be there.
Yeah.
That's what
And
I'm
it's
describing.
it's gonna be there because I mean it's already been decades since it's come out, but it's
30
still
years.
everywhere. Like
Yeah, 30 years.
you just say that hook or that chorus, and everybody instantly knows the song.
Exactly.
And I'm interested with like, you clearly are a very good like business mind, and you talked earlier about like needing to turn down a bunch of opportunities when you're getting all of these like TV or movie placements for your music for Whoomp There It Is. Is that from you seeking out TV placements, or is that a lot of like production companies coming to you asking if they can use the song?
So my situation is different because they go, we were in a 20-year legal battle, right? So we don't really have any power over when people do that, right? So
Okay.
they'll go to the record company that owns the rights. We own a certain amount of the rights, but we signed a bad contract. Now, that's part of being a man too. You have to accept the responsibilities for signing something that was just a terrible contract. No, it wasn't necessarily a terrible contract. There was a supplement to it that we didn't, we just trust the record company, and that was the fatal blow, right? But I could either be an old and bitter rapper because you hear every rapper or every artist talking about how they were done dirty in the music industry, or you can vow that that'll never happen again. And I had to really push all that to the back of my mind and say, well, work with those people because this is how you do it. If you want to be in those commercials, if you want a part of that, well, then communicate with them and say, every month, please send me anybody who has licensed the record so I can go behind them and then give them a call and be like, hey, man, this is DC Tag Team. How you doing? You guys doing something? Okay, I see what you're doing. Well, hey, you might be good to collaborate, right? Because then I can go in and be like, well, damn, we can get Tag Team in the commercial. And then now, not only do the record company get paid, but Tag Team gets paid without the record
You're
company.
turning a negative into a
Turn a
positive.
negative into a positive. Got to do it now. There is pain in that, but my skin is very thick. And I look at how it can help me because when you get to this point in your career, you need relevance. You need every year to have Whoomp There It Is come out in a commercial or come out on The Simpsons or come out in a movie or come out in something, right? How do you turn that into something else? And that's where SEO comes in. I get to take all those things, write a blog post about them, like I actually made the deal or had something to do with it. But then people start being like, well, let me call him first because I could write a blog post and say, anybody who wants to license the record, call me. And then they call me and they call me first. Then I give it to the record company
Mm-hmm.
and then they do what they do. But then I've already planted that seed. Well, if we want to use it for this big commercial, maybe you might tie in Tag Team. And then that's when you get the SAG money, right? And that's why the Geico commercial is the biggest deal we've ever made, other than Whoop There It Is, because I put it back in the back of my mind
Yeah.
and that's how you have to do it, right? So you got to turn those negatives into positive because they're not going anywhere. It's not
Yeah.
going anywhere. So why not turn it into a positive if you have the ability to do that? Now, like I said, there can't be a quid pro quo. You can't get frustrated if things don't happen. You got to plant the seed and keep it moving because don't nobody owe you nothing. Ain't nobody gonna give you nothing. And last of all, don't nobody care. Once you realize that, world is yours. World is yours, man, because people always think somebody owes them something. We're supposed to do something for them or supposed to give them something. People want people to care. How come they don't care? How come they don't respect? No, don't work because the world don't work like that. Don't work like that. You got to earn your respect. You earn your respect by the actions that you make and by the accomplishments that you have through sheer guts and will and determination and tenacity, not listening to what people say, right?
Yeah.
Because people can look at stuff on the surface and they don't see what you see. Just like you asked the question about music placement. I gave you a whole different perspective on music placement. You thought I was
Yeah.
gonna come with something like, hey, well, you got to find the people who do the music placement, then you got to submit your music, and then nah, that ain't how you do it. That's not how I do it. Now, somebody else's situation might be different, right? But if I'm a
Well,
musician,
yeah,
so here's what you can do. If I'm a musician, right, and I want to do music placement, I'm not going to try to get my songs placed. I'm gonna redo the songs that those commercials want to. I'm gonna create a business where I redo songs. So I'm gonna practice redoing other songs. Just being able to emulate and
you do
hit
covers of
song,
songs.
make a hit song, because and then that's your forte, and then you promote it that this is what I do. Then you got every ad agency. All you need is one ad agency to be in there, to be in their, in their purview. But if you got 10 ad agencies where all they do is call you when they want to take a commercial song, they don't want to use the Rolling Stones this, but they want it recreated so they don't have to pay as much money. Now you've got a business for the rest of your life because there will always be advertising. But see, everybody wants to be a star. That's the problem. But this way, you can fund your life and your goals and your dreams, and it all fits in that ball of focus because you're still making music.
Yeah,
You
you're
see what I'm
still
saying? That's how
making
I think.
music, and you're making money that you can reinvest into original music that can help
Yes.
you make you a star.
Then
It
you can
doesn't
go
have
do,
to be a direct connection. I do this to become a
yeah.
star.
Then you
It's
can go
I
study
do
with the
this
master.
to help me get to
Yeah.
that point.
Then you could take 6 weeks and say, you know what? I'm gonna move to I'm gonna go take this course with one of the masters, and I want him to teach me, right? Or I call people like when I wanted to get back into music. People were like, well, you gotta. I tried several people, and it just wasn't a fit. And then I said, well, I decided, let me use this DAW, right? Because you got so many DAWs. You got Pro Tools, you got Logic, you got, you know what I mean? But I
Yeah,
kind of like Studio One, right? So I went and said, well, who are the engineers of this software? Ah, okay. And I called each and every one of them. And now all those engineers are the one that are teaching me how to use the product that they made. It's the same
that's
organization concept. You go to where the people, but Gregor Baril, that's his name. He lives in Germany. We would Skype every Tuesday and do an hour session because that was enough. And then I had my homework for the week, come back, and I got to record all those. So now if I need to go back, I can go to the game tape because it's me doing it, not somebody saying, well, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that, and this is how you do that. It's somebody actually making me do it at a slower pace to where I understand. That's why I'm like in SEO. I'm in several masterminds. I'm not in the mastermind because I'm trying to learn something. I'm in the mastermind because of the people who are in the mastermind. They're my friends now. We're all colleagues. So I'm about to make a series of videos and send them to all my colleagues and be like, this is what I'm thinking. I don't know what to do. Can I get some help, please? You find that the word please will get you everything you ever wanted. But sometimes your ego don't let you ask for help because I got to figure this shit out myself, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you wasting time, right? And then you become masterful at things that you can help them with. They call me all the time, right? I got a friend who is the SEO of a major news organization. He's like, DC, I need some help. I'm trying to figure out how to do this, that, and that. What would you do? I was like, oh man, we could do it like this. Whoop, 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 whoop. Man, DC, thanks. Right? This is a dude. How am I even talking to this guy? Right?
yeah.
But that's why I say people have to understand that they are enough because what somebody else don't know, you know. You got to give yourself more credit, but you also got to put in the work. And here's the key. You have to let them see you hustle, right? You do it stealthily. You don't say, hey, everybody look at me, because that's what social media is. Everybody look at me, 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 me. No, I do it different. I strategically place myself to where the people who get up every morning and type in, I need this Google. How do I find this? Well, if they type that
It
in,
comes to you.
it has something to do with me, I'm there. And I'm the one that solves their problem. That's how you use social media. Because when you do that, now when they type in that thing, you're on the carousel for everything Twitter. You're on the carousel for everything Instagram. Every page is called a SERP. You've got carousels. You've got all this information. You're on the carousel for the YouTube videos because you optimize yourself to be at the place where you can help people. Now that's traffic. So now if you want to sell a product or if you want to have services, all those people know who to go to. Now
Yeah.
you have more work than you could ever imagine. All these, you see the strand of all these things that we talked about today, right? They all go back to thinking backwards, thinking differently. This is backward thinking because nobody would think about being in the place where they want to be first. They're thinking, man, I want to be a YouTube influencer like them. So now you're trying to follow their path, but their path is not your path because your life, you've lived a different life. So when I hear, it's crazy because people always talk. How many times you hear people talk about the algorithm? The
Yeah, a lot.
algorithm,
And
algorithm don't like me.
it's the perfect scapegoat because it's
But you
not a
know,
living thing. It's not an actual thing. It's just this like idea
no,
sort of out
it
there in
is
the
something.
ether.
You know what the algorithm is? All the algorithm is are instructions. Do you follow instructions? Google has a robot, and that robot is the search engine. That search engine loves data. It loves parsing data. Google gives you the recipe to cook the food that this robot loves. So what are you going to be? A short order cook or a 2-star Michelin chef? That's the thing. Google gives you the recipe, but how do you take that recipe and make it better? If you type in YouTube, give me a recipe for baked chicken, you're going to come up with 10 different ways to make baked chicken, but yours might be the best, right? Like, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to challenge yourself to be that creative to even see that. You have to break these things down in the algorithms. Like if you looked at it that way for YouTube, then you're like, oh, so if this podcast is about this, I will put this podcast on this page about entrepreneurship, optimize it for that, and then it might show up on the carousel. And then everybody who's looking about how to be an entrepreneur comes to your podcast, sees you with me on it, and now you might get a whole bunch of followers because you had me on a podcast talking about entrepreneurship. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? You
Yeah.
see how that circle is in SEO, we call it a link wheel, right? You have this, which links to this, that makes sense. But then this links right back around to that because that makes sense. And now it's a link wheel and it continues to grow. It's a big, and it gets sustained by people who are looking for that and they keep typing it in and that's what they get. And now you got content where you could do it with anything. If you had a podcast about somebody who loves comics, same thing. You optimize it for comics. Well, where's the most traffic on comics, but not the most difficult to get, right? And that's the beauty of it. See, social media, everybody's look at me, look at me, look at me. I need likes. I need likes. Yeah, but you're getting likes and you're not converting. See, I don't need 100,000 people to like me. I just need 100 people to pay me. That's the
Yeah.
difference. That's the difference, man. So that's how I roll. And, you know, I'm gonna keep it moving. I've got 10 things incubating that I know are gonna work, right? Problem with me, I just can't get to it all. So now I gotta learn business, how to hire people, I have to, but that's a challenge within itself. But don't none of it work unless you know how to do it yourself, because then you can teach people how to do it. And then now your team is truly dedicated to you because you taught them the game. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than, and there's no greater feeling when somebody gives you a nugget that you take and use and then it actually works. That's what creates loyalty. Man, this dude taught me the game. I am loyal to him. I will. What you need? You need me to be there? I got you. There's people that helped me out 30 years ago. I'll show up wherever they want me to because they taught me the game. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because all it is a game. It's just how you play it better, how much practice you put in. Everything is so simple, but then it's so difficult because what's your threshold of pain when putting in this work, right? A lot of people quit everything all the time and jump around. But if you say, hey, I'm going to learn this and I'm going to apply it and I'm going to flourish, that's what life is about, dude.
Yeah.
Funny because I know you thought this podcast was not gonna be this.
No, but
And it's
I'm
crazy
happy
how
that it is.
we have
Like
talked
it's a
about Whoomp, there it is. We talked
it,
about Whoomp, there it is, but in a different context. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't get to sit here and talk to you about Whoomp, there it is if I don't do all those things to keep me relevant over all these years.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so did this business mind sort of come more present after Whoomp There It Is, or were you still like a business person while like when you're
And this
making
started when I
that
was
song, is it just creative like creativity, or are you
started when I
listening
was
to it like,
about
oh, this
7
is a
years
hit
old.
song?
This started at 7 years old because my parents worked us to death, right? We had an
Mhm.
allowance, but we had to work, cut the lawn, shovel snow, mow the grass, rake the leaves, clean the windows, help my dad fix the roof, all that stuff. We had to clean up the dog crap, all that. We had chores. And we got an allowance. And one year we had a blizzard. I'm from Colorado, Denver, Colorado. We had a blizzard. We had a only family on the block had a snow blower. So we just kids playing in snow. But then Mr. Grant next door, he's struggling. I got you, Mr. Grant. And we just do the whole block. And then the next week I'm coming home from school and people are calling me over, giving me $20. Thanks for doing my snow. And that week a hustler was born. And I have, as a grown man, I have never not known work. It ain't nothing but work. I had a paper route. I worked at Dolly Madison Ice Cream when I was 14. I worked at University of Colorado rolling around projectors when I was 15. Then I got a job at Mile High Stadium selling Pepsi, get your Pepsi for the Denver Broncos, right? Hustle. It never stopped, right? So anything that I do, I know how to, I know I'm willing to outwork anybody. I worked in the restaurants. So I worked under, sous chefs and head chefs, and they all taught me the game. That's why I cook my ass off now, right? Like all these things that you learn when you grow up, they become a form of mastery years later, and they come back to serve you in ways you never could have thought of. And that's what has made life for me so thrilling, is that the amount of things you can accomplish in one, because you only get one, is amazing. And I am going to ride this thing till the wheels fall off. I promise you. So as far as
And
the inspiration,
you
Whoop, there it is, just a song. Whoop, there it is a byproduct of all those things, right? All those things. It's just a song that hit. That wasn't no special formula. It wasn't no Manhattan Project where everybody's wearing lab coats and talking about, okay, we got to do the verse like this. We got to do this like this. It was two kids in the studio saying, I don't know what to do here. Well, let's just make up some stuff. All right, cool. Boom, shaka, laka, shaka. Yeah, that's good. That's all it was, man.
yeah.
That's
And
it.
now you do so much like acting, music, speak, like you're so spread out with your time, and it's hard to see what you prioritize or what you do first. Like, are you an actor first, musician first? But after what you just said, it seems like you're just a businessman for, like you're just working first. You're a hustler first. Like
Yeah,
you're
I'm a
so
hustler,
yeah.
straight up. In every sense of the word, I'm a hustler. Now, you got your day job is your bread and butter. So the day job is tag team right now because tag we getting lots of shows and the shows sustain the ability for me to do other things, right? But it doesn't hurt that we get royalties as well. So that's basically that's basically a pension plan for the rest of my life. You see what I'm saying? Because you get royalties, even though we don't get the royalties we should get, but that's okay. I'll take half instead of the whole, because half is it's all a blessing. It's all off of one song,
Yeah.
right? We don't have a catalog worth of songs. We got one song that still pays us to this day, 30 years later. I don't have to work, but I do work because to me, that's the lifeblood of me, right? So, like I could tell you, right now, the most important thing in my life is SEO, search engine optimization. Because what else is there? What else is there than the ability to market yourself and get in front of the people who can pay you? That's it. That's all I got to do is get in front of the people who can pay me. And now I built that page, it's there forever because it's optimized. So anytime somebody needs me for this, call me.
Either.
So you build a page for speaking. You build a page for, like, I haven't done all this yet, but because I had to learn SEO. This has been a 10-year process because SEO is a moving target. Algorithms change. All this stuff changes. So you got to stay up on it. But you also got to get with people where we can all learn it together as a collective. And that is the beauty of master. That's why they call it a mastermind, right? And, acting. Yesterday, I'm doing SEO's #1, but I'm trying to figure out a way, how can I get back into acting, because COVID it didn't mess it up, but you had to take 3 COVID tests before you get on set if you book something. Well, I'm touring. So that means I had to fly back to take a COVID test in Atlanta, fly back to where I'm going, come back. That's too much. So I had to let that go. Voiceover is every day. And every day, I can't do that every day because I'm doing SEO. Because I spend a lifetime in voiceover. But if I learn SEO, then I could take my voiceover, place it in the places that I think people will see it. And then now people, when they look at me, oh, he does voiceover, we might want to use him for this project. And you get a call. That's what happened after we prevailed on the lawsuit. I was depressed for like a month because I was like, what am I going to do? I'm telling you, winning that lawsuit, legal battle, but prevailing in that legal battle was like the dog catching the car. Damn, what do I do with it now? And that will depress you because you got too many options, but you don't know which one is going to make you the money.
You got this like big win and you were expecting like, confetti, this big celebration, and you got there and you were like, okay, what now?
I didn't even expect that. It was just like, what the hell am I going to do now? It's funny because I was a doctor last week and there was, she was using all her interns and they were coming in asking questions and stuff and just like, your medicine okay? You do this? Are you depressed? And I said, yeah. I said, everybody is. I said, everybody wake up in the morning or go to sleep at night and lay in the bed and say to themselves, what the hell am I going to do? In one way, shape, or form, the other, right? That's why the pandemic was, to me, the greatest thing that ever happened to me. The other side is the other side, right? With everything that happened. But I find the positive and the negative, and the positive and negative is that everybody stopped and then it was like a clean slate. Everybody could start over again. And I liken it to, oh, now we're all in the Serengeti. What are you going to be? Predator or prey, right? What you going to do? Everybody asked themselves the same question. What the hell am I going to do? And that happens every day for me. So there is a certain amount of depression, but that don't stop me. That's not going to make me lay in the bed all day and not do nothing. And I'll keep it moving because you can do 2 things at once. You can be depressed and you can keep it moving. We all got thoughts like that, but you got to keep it moving. And it's to the point where I do so much that I don't think I've done anything. It's amazing. Yesterday, I had so many breakthroughs. I parsed 30 different spreadsheets on how I made macros and formulas for, breaking down spreadsheets. And you know what I mean? I optimized certain things for this. Even today, I got up and had ideas for the last hour before we got on here. And it feels like I've done nothing.
No, I definitely understand
That's
that.
the beauty of always doing something,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't put yourself in a position where you want to be awarded for doing something that you're supposed to do anyway. So I do these things, and then when I look at the analysis and I look at the chart for over a year, it's like this. That trajectory is just like that. That graph is going straight up always. It just goes up at an angle. It doesn't do this. It keeps going
It's
like that.
constant.
It's constant. But that's
And
why sometimes we can't recognize it and we beat ourselves up, right? But that comes from me talking to therapists, or like I would, if I wanted to be a psychiatrist, I would get in a psychiatrist organization, go to their convention and be like, I want to be a psychiatrist so I could talk to a whole bunch of psychiatrists at the same time.
yeah.
Then you figure out which. I have gotten 3 different
Why
financial
why
advisors for this
why
podcast.
why go to like people who want to be a psychologist or are studying it and be like, how do I be a psychologist, when you can go to current like active working psychologists and be like,
I
how
got
do I do this? What's
500
going on?
psychologists, 500 psychiatrists in a room. All you need is to talk to 2 or 3. That's what an organization does for you.
Mm-hmm.
Association, society. That's what those do for you. So I'm always engaged. I'm always going to conferences. I'm always doing the things to get me more knowledge, to figure out things to drop, to drop knowledge on people, or to get knowledge dropped upon me. You might want to do it this way, DC. Oh, snap. It's a physical form of AI to me. Because when I do that and interverse with all these people, I get ideas I never would have thought of. That's all AI is. It's a
Yeah.
tool. And that's what I use organizations for, a tool for learning. So I tell that to high school kids. If they know they're not going to college, get an organization on the thing you want to be. You want to work on cars, get an automotive organization and scrap and save your money. You know what I'm saying? Or save your money, join the organization, ask them how you can get a job in the state where you're at, because they got somebody who will give a kid a chance because they're in the organization. And now you'll have a job inside, you'll have a high paying job at an automotive thing that you can learn from while you're still in this organization. Now, what's your next step? Oh, I want to own an automotive shop. Well, we got the resources and we can tell you how to do it. Here's a little course in here. It's free because you're in the organization. Go through this course and then we'll test you on it. Then we'll try to hook you up with somebody. And then next thing you know, somebody wants to help you put together your car company. And then here's the financing. All the resources that you need to put this together are here. Are you ready though? Are you ready to put in the work? Can you get the loans? But they'll tell you, you got to clean up your credit. You got to do this. You got to do that. That all happens in an organization because those people are doing the very thing that you want to do. And it costs you $200 a year to be in it. I can't think of any other way. That's why I'm in 30 different organizations. I pay those dues every year to get the knowledge from people who are doing exactly what I want to learn or exactly what I want to do. So, you got any more questions, man? Because I got to get out of here.
No, I mean, that's basically it. The only one that I have left is basically just what's next. Like, you already do so much, but it seems like you're constantly working. What's next for you?
Mastery. People ask me that all the time. DC, what do you want? Mastery. Man, you can't get mastery. You're right.
I was about to say, do you think that's something
Mastery,
you can
mastery.
get, or is it something you're
Yeah,
constantly working towards?
you're never going to get mastery. But if I'm in the ballpark, if that's what I strive toward, things fall on my lap, right? That's how you create. It's an energy, right? I know what I want. I want mastery. I want to be good at things, right? I want to be great at things. But there are very few masters, right? And even if people call them masters, they within themselves know that they're not masters because they're learning still always too, right? But that's what I want. So if that's what I want, that is where I'm at. I'm in the air there. And that's why I keep going. That's why that thing keeps going like this, right? Because I want mastery. You know, I wanted mastery in the music industry. Now, I didn't get there. I didn't get mastery in the music industry, but look what I did. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I really want mastery at acting, but mastery at acting takes being on set a whole bunch so you can learn from other actors. And that was happening till the pandemic, right? Or just the way they had to test and everything. So I know I could do these things, but it's like, what is, you have to prioritize, and sometimes things get sent to the minor leagues because I just got to do this right now, right? So right now it's SEO. I want mastery SEO. I want to be able to do the things that people wish they could do, you know? So, hey man, I got to get out of here. For all the
Yeah.
people who want to find this SEO trick, the key to being found is just make sure that your SERP is straight. So you type in DC Glenn, DC the Brain
I was
Supreme,
gonna
tag
say
team,
promo
boom,
yourself,
there
but
it
it's
is.
probably just
You'll
tag
find
team. Do you think, Glenn?
it. Yeah.
Like anywhere you do
I
that,
made
you'll
it
probably
very
come
easy
up.
to find. Here's the power of SEO. 7 years ago, you type in tag team, it was all wrestling. You type in tag team today, it's
It's
me.
all you. Yeah. Well,
That's the
thank you
difference.
so much for coming on. It was definitely very helpful. Very like it's honestly given me a lot to think about. Like this is
Mhm.
probably of all the podcasts I've done, the one where I've learned the most amount of new stuff like from it. So thank you for that. And I mean, yeah, keep working and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Well, hey, thank you for having me. Everybody have a great rest of your day. I'm out of here. DC the Brain Supreme. Peace.